Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast presented by DJ City and Beat Source. And we have invaded the Sound Collective. Rest in peace to DJ Never, Never Forever. I'm one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. We have Brooklyn's beloved, DJ Goldfinger in the building.
What up, world?
Now we have a legend in the building.
Word.
Happened to meet this legend in person at the Playlist Retreat.
Yes.
Shout out to Jazzy Jeff. True master of the hip-hop craft. He's one of the greatest punchline MCs to ever do it. Has an iconic voice, recognizable voice, accompanied by the most braggadocious, laid-back, nonchalant, confident flow that influenced generations. He's produced for legends, Dr. Dre, Biggie, Fat Joe, Joey Badass, Capone Noriega, Brand Nubian, Diamond D,
Talk to him.
Showbiz and AG, OC, and the late great Harlem Zone, Big L.
Yes.
We have DITC, digging into crates in the building, Lord Finesse with us. What's good, sir?
I'm great. Great.
It's bugging me out to hear this in the headphones, man.
It's crazy to hear your voice right now, man, on these headphones. we had the pleasure of linking up with you at the Playlist Retreat with Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah, that was a surprise. That was a total surprise. So when I seen y'all, I'm like, it's like it just never ceased to amaze me with Jeff. Jeff pulled no punches when it comes to the Playlist Retreat, and how many things he got there. Everybody's comfortable. It's just, the people that he has talking, the panels, everything is so in depth where if you don't leave the retreat feeling like born again, you really ain't learned nothing. You was just probably there eating snacks and networking, but...
You've been there since the first one, right?
Yes.
How different is it like now and like
after the pandemic and everything?
Man, it's expanded. I'm thinking it was like the first one had to be. I remember Z Trip, Rich Medina, Tall Black Guy, Stro Elliott. It was more of a handful.
Right.
This is an all-out like institution now you got going on.
Did they have the musicians as well as the first one? Did you have like musicians there besides just producers and DJs?
I think it just wasn't as massive as it is now.
Got it.
So I think you still had everything, but the way he adds every year, it's just it's funny. Because you're at the Playlist Retreat, and of course, I download edits. I go to Bandcamp. I go to all these spots to get, because I want to always hear new refreshing stuff. So if you got a Bandcamp page and you dope, I'll go spend a quick $100 or whatever. So to that point, it's the dude Otis was there this year, Marquise Murray, Jan Hunter.
Yeah, he's dope.
So. These are all the people's stuff I'm buying, so, and I just think I went online and just scooped up a lot of Otis's catalog.
And these are this is part of the pack, right? This is part of the pack that Jeff...
Yeah. So there's a hard...
Otis McDonald, let me get it right. Otis McDonald, yeah. So I went and scooped up a lot of his stuff.
Yeah. There's a hard drive, an external hard drive that they pass around to everybody, and everyone just adds to the hard drive. They'll put like production that they're working on, or
that's crazy.
Exclusive edits.
I was only there for one day, so I missed that part.
Yeah. No. Jamie has the link. Maybe he didn't show it. He didn't share it with you, but there's a link with a ton of music on.
Hold it out.
Yeah. It's funny. There was a panel on AI. At the Playlist Retreat, and Lord Finesse almost started a riot, like in there
So I wasn't there.
You wasn't there. You was at Serato.
I was at Serato. Okay.
And I had to go to that meeting, but I was like, they're like, "Where are you, Crook?" And I'm like, "Yo, Finesse is going off."
So what happened, Finesse?
Well, AI, I just feel like with the labels.
Yeah.
When I'm very passionate about it, because the labels has been screwing over artists for
years,
since the beginning, since medieval times, and they always find a new way to pimp artists. So before it was like streaming. Well, what's going on now? But the labels get with the streaming companies, and they work a deal out where the labels get equity in streaming, but at the expense of the artist.
Right.
So I'm gonna let you pimp out this catalog as long as I get a piece of your company. But there's nobody to speak up for the artist.
Right.
So I always tell a story. When we first started, it was cassettes, vinyl, CDs.
This wasn't even in the contracts.
It's in the contracts where we are allowed to release it on any media form.
Right. It's the labels.
It's
have
very vague.
Yeah. The labels have a distribution deal with the artist that they specifically can release the artist's music on
different platforms.
Yeah, on different platforms.
Now, that's perfectly fine. But when your attorney comes in, he negotiates three things that's there:
Vinyl.
CD,
Vinyl.
the cassette, and vinyl. So now you come with a new way to make money,
Streaming.
but you don't
Right.
invite the attorney in to negotiate those terms, and you just giving artists a percentage of a penny.
What's up, everyone? DJ Zimmy here to tell you about the Level Up DJ conference happening at the end of April. It's 2 days and 3 nights of panel discussions, workshops, breakout groups, and parties in the city. Pioneer DJ is going to be on site with all the newest gear, going over everything with you and answering any questions that you have. We're also going to be going over marketing, production, mixing and mastering, mental health, financial literacy, and more. Big shout out to our friends at BeatSource who are also going to be on site the whole time. You can check out all the current programming at levelup4djs.com. That's levelup4DJs. You can also watch the recap reel from last year to see what all the buzz is about. Any new programming we confirm that we're still working on will be added there as well. I am really excited to keep expanding this amazing community, and I hope that you will be there too.
And you know, any lawyer that came to the table, y'all out y'all rabbit ass mind. You're not gonna give my artist what it is, but it just seemed to just slide and nobody really said nothing. So now AI comes. And now the label's feeling some type of way. Wait up, hold up. We need to talk to the AI company. And it's like, y'all already pimped the streaming. Now you finding another way to sue and pimp the AI thing, because here's another way revenue is going to be made, and y'all trying to set your rules of how you're going to make money. But my biggest concern is, what about the artists? It just seems when something comes into play, everybody skips over the artist.
Low man on the totem pole.
Right. And with AI, I have an interesting theory with AI because it's mainly prompts. You have to put prompts in the AI. Get it. So,
and the prompts are like searches, basically, right?
So I think anytime you put a prompt in, that should be a part of the DNA of whatever's being created. And somebody should be able to be notified if your name is in that prompt. So you can get a piece of that music because your name was thrown in there.
Right.
So you are a part of what AI is putting out there.
Right. So in the prompts, let's say if a musician or somebody's using a prompt to search music, it could be a Lord Finesse bass line, drum, voice that AI is referencing.
Right.
And if they're referencing you, AI should specifically contact you, or there should be someone monitoring that, right?
Your split should just be automatically be in the DNA or whatever is being done. And it's cool that way.
The thing is, the prompts, though, it can be vague. So, like, if a person says, "Oh, I want a jazzy Motown type of beat,"
well, that's different.
Yeah,
you know
that. But when you saying somebody's name,
right?
I want specifically, I want a Dilla feel. That's Dilla name, and it's referencing Dilla, and is somewhat copying Dilla. So Dilla estate should be contacted. Like, if you just, because if you're doing something creative, like you saying with music, well, I want a jazzy sound, or I want something funky, or I want this, that's great. But when you're referencing person, or even when you telling it to make a rhyme like this, using this cadence or that, you're putting detailed analysis into the AI. And that's where, and it shouldn't have nothing to do with the label, right? Because the label, what is the label, doing? This is all artistry.
Well, the labels don't like it because they're saying they technically own the music. So if AI is referencing the music, they want to get paid. They don't really even care about the artist being referenced. So instead of even you getting paid, like if someone types in "hip to the game," I want a beat that sounds similar to "hip to the game." The artist, you want to get compensated, but the label.
It's like it's our music.
But the label's like, we're not getting compensated. So they hate it even more now.
If you understand how artists were screwed over since the beginning of the times.
Of course.
You have to understand, like if I get into it, let's say I'm just going to make it simple numbers, because let's say an artist get 100,000, right? Get 100,000 to do an album. Now with that 100,000, let's say you get a 15,000 advance. Mm-hmm. That personally went in your pocket. Then the other money was for producers. It was for studio time. It was for everything to create that album, the features, musicians, whatever you had to pay for. Now, like I said, the label gave you 100,000. You personally kept 15. That's what you could really count, because at that time, all the music, all that work was going on reels, which are called masters.
Yeah.
Now you got 100,000. Now your points might have been 6 or 7 points, and I'm being generous with that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're getting 6 points out of a 100-point pie. 100-point pie, and you're only getting 6 points. Mm-hmm. They're getting 94. But when it's time to recoup for the 100,000 you got, you have to use your 6 points. Don't look at their 94.
Right.
How can you win?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say by some miraculous way you recoup. You recoup the 100,000. You don't even get to keep what you spent the money on. Mm-hmm. Only thing you get to keep is the 15,000. Because why? They own the masters.
Right.
So the 85,000 is on the masters. I recoup the whole 85. Yeah, I'm getting royalties in, but you should own the masters.
Mm-hmm. Once that's paid off, you're saying.
Right.
That's a trick back.
It's just a loan that you'll never be able to pay off.
Right.
And now the world has changed where artists can make music in the bedroom or make it wherever. They're feeling left out. You've been raping the game for years.
Yeah.
Now you find you raping streaming. Now I need to find another way to rape this situation. And that's where I get passionate about and somewhat angry and irritated, because look at how much y'all done killed the game already. And you killed the game and you killed the game because at some point it wasn't about artistry no more. It was about capitalism. And it was about, I always tell artists, you come in the game with the passion of music. But it's come to the point right now where you see artists and you go, yo, you still doing music? I don't do music no more. Fuck music.
Right.
And that was one of the jewels that I learned from Jeff speaking to somebody, because he asked somebody, yo, you gonna put some music out? He's like, nah, man, I had bad experiences. I had this, I had that, and it just ain't work out for me. I'm not doing music no more. And Jeff said some fly shit. Jeff said, what did music ever do wrong to you?
Right.
That's beautiful, actually.
And I was like, wow, because he's right. Music got you out the hood. Music has taken you around the world. You have made a career off of music. Mm-hmm. It's so much that went on that music saved your life. And you let the game get you to a point so psychologically that you shit on your gift. You shit on the very gift that got you where you at in life. And when I was like putting it together, it was like, damn, that's so deep. It made me fall back in love with my gift that I was blessed with.
Right.
Reinvigorated.
Yes, because I think too many times we get so caught up in personal things, because you come into the industry, you come in hype because Like you made it out the hood. I got this deal. This is great. And you know your craft did it. So you're 100% focused on your craft. It's the industry and the bullshit that gets you unfocused.
Right.
Because they start making you feel like your story ain't shit. Everybody made it out the hood. You got this, but so-and-so got that.
Yeah.
So they start to kind of program you into wanting material things or comparing what you
Your situation
got
with somebody else.
to somebody else.
Yeah. Right.
And it throws you off the vibe of the music.
Right.
Because now you worried about making money versus making the most incredible music you can make.
It's a great way to devalue yourself, right? And then for them to kind of like manipulate any artist.
But comparison is the thief of joy.
That's a drill.
You know, because if you happy with what you got, if you know what you got, don't let them start comparing you, because it's going to make you seem like you're not getting enough when you was just happy. It's just like when we was raised in the hood, we was happy with a bag of potato chips and a quart of water. And now you get to a level in life where you need things to be happy. It's not about your health no more. It's not about feeling good, peace of mind. I need this. And once your mind get into that, it makes you navigate away from your gift, which is music. Music brought you here. Yeah, you can, flourish off of music, but that's where I see music is taking a hit, because everybody's using music as the stepping stone. They're not doing it because they loving in it anymore. It's like, I'm doing this to get the bag. So whatever I have to do with this music, I don't really care about the music.
Just the vehicle.
I'm here to get the bag.
Right.
Where they don't understand, if you do incredible,
Work.
substantial music, if you have a beautiful catalog, you will get the bag forever.
Yeah.
Because your music will be used forever. But if you step over your music to get the bag, and you get the bag and your music suffers, once that bag is gone, you have no residuals to fall back on because you didn't take the music part serious.
Yeah.
What's good, everyone? This is P-Dot from Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast. Whether you're just discovering the podcast or a day one listener, if you've been loving the content and want more, here's your chance to support the pod, get closer to the action, and unlock exclusive content by joining our Patreon. For just $5 a month, you can join our Tier 1 R.O.A.D subscription. This is for our loyal listeners who want early access to new episodes 3 to 4 weeks ahead, your name in the credits of every video episode, and access to our exclusive R.O.A.D edits pack. For the hardcore supporters, we've got our Tier 2 R.O.A.D for Life subscription for just $10 a month. This is the all-in package. You'll get everything from Tier 1, plus a monthly bonus episode, early access to our exclusive R.O.A.D 10 and R.O.A.D Talk interviews, behind-the-scenes content, our In the Crate series, along with unreleased projects. This is your chance to support the podcast and get more of the content that you love. Join the family today at patreon.com/R.O.A.D podcast. Check the link in our descriptions. We appreciate you, and let's keep this journey going.
You mentioned something really interesting during that panel, which was like technically, like once the streaming platform became like a new distribution, like every artist's contract needed to be like kind of renegotiated, because like you said, the contracts technically only referred to cassettes, CDs, and vinyl.
Right.
But it didn't, the artist wasn't involved in the negotiations for streaming.
Right. They're going to say, well, we have the right to put it out on any platform. You're right. But who negotiated the numbers? That's what I'm talking about, the numbers. I'm not saying you don't have a right to do it.
Yeah.
But who negotiated that an artist should see a fraction of a penny per stream? Nobody would agree to that. And like I said, it kind of just slipped by because, the streaming company and the record labels went to government to work their deal out.
Yeah.
But nobody was there to represent the artist when it was going to government.
Exactly.
So now AI comes once again, and they're trying to find a way. Oh, wait up. You can't exclude us. it's not even excluding you. It's really it's about the artist now.
Yeah.
It ain't even about y'all. Unless, they might own some artist publishing. I get it. It's a very crazy game.
Yeah. Looking at the 3 classic, amazing albums that you released, every album is on a different label.
Right.
I've never seen that before, where you were able to move.
Yeah, let's start from the beginning, man.
Yeah, like the Funky Technician with DJ Mike Smooth. Shout out to Mike Smooth.
Shout
Yes,
out
sir.
to
That was on Wild Pitch EMI.
Yes.
And then the second album, which is The Turn of the Funky Man, was on Giant Warner Brothers.
Syndicate.
Yeah. And then I was talking with Goldie, and I was like, yo, the third album, right?
That was
The Awakening,
Tommy Boy.
Penalty, right?
Yeah.
Penalty, yeah.
Which is also Warner.
Neil Levine.
Yeah. But usually you see, like, you see a 3 or 5 album deal with one label, and you were able to, like, kind of navigate through 3 labels.
It's different because I was like more of a street artist. I wasn't the commercial person because we were from an era where commercial is like selling out in our era. Oh, you selling out.
And you was on Wild Pitch with Gangstar,
Chill Rob G, J Mos.
Okay.
That was
the roster.
there.
Right.
And La T did a single.
Okay.
So that was Wild Pitch. That was just before Main Source. Main Source was coming in on my way out. Same thing with OC. So I think what it was with Stu Fine is he had a good ear, but you didn't have the necessary resources to nurture these artists. And
you were there like 88.
89.
89. That's when the album came
89.
out. Right.
First single came out, I think, October 89.
That was
Baby You Nasty.
Baby You Nasty, and that was Strictly for the Ladies, right?
No, that was just the first one with Track the Movement.
Gotcha. Track the Movement. Right.
And
right.
Premier produced both of those.
Right.
Premier did a lot of the album.
Yeah. So Premier,
Diamond D
I was the first artist Premier worked with outside of Gangstar. Let me just rewind it all back.
How did you link with Premier?
Guru worked at Wild Pitch. And Guru was the one that picked my tape out the box and was like, yo, this is the dude. Premier was just coming from Texas. They just finished the No More Mr. Nice Guy album. And so that was my brotherhood, because as a young finesse, I was always around Guru and Premier.
That's what's up.
Guru was, like I said, the one who picked out my demo, but it even goes further back than Wild Pitch. I actually was signed to Zakia first before they folded.
Really?
Yes.
So you were label mates with Rakim?
It never happened.
It never happened.
It folded before I even got to do anything with Zakia.
Zakia was a big label.
Yeah.
They had Commaster DC.
Yes.
They had Rakim. They had a
King
couple
Son.
of joints. Derek B. They had a couple joints.
So
King Son,
then,
King Son.
I shopped the deal and Guru picked up the tape, and then Premier. It wasn't even solidified because I think Stu was on the fence. He didn't know. He's never heard anybody like me, a style like mine. So it was like, I don't know. And they put me in a seminar, the 1989 seminar. And the thing with that, it was Master Ace, it was Mikey D. But long story short, I beat Mikey D, who was the champion the year before in the first round. Wow. That was like, that was the shock of the whole seminar. It's like, yo, this slow finesse kid, he's different.
Wow.
And Premier was in the crowd with Stu Fine, and he was like, you know what? Premier's like, I want to work with him. I want to work with him. As soon as this is over, I want to work with him. And he would come to my hood, my projects, pick me up from my grandmother's crib, and we would go to the studio. I would sit in his crib. He'll tell you this story. He would play a pile of records, and I was just selective. That really. Nah, that ain't funky enough.
But he would play the samples?
Yeah, before we even do it, because we was in a whole nother zone. He didn't have equipment.
Right.
My man was making it in the studio. So when you listen to Track the Movement and Strictly for the Ladies, that was made in the studio.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, because there wouldn't have been a beat tape, right?
So he's playing the loops, and I go, okay, I could do something with that. I could do something with that.
And you already had the ear. Were you DJing at this time or not yet?
I was somewhat DJing, where I wanted to be a DJ. I didn't even want to be an artist.
Really?
Yes, I wanted to be a DJ.
Wait, where's your background? Like, you're from the Bronx? Like, what part?
From the Bronx, South Bronx, Morrisania, Forest Projects. If anybody's familiar with Forest Projects, of course, it's
Diamond.
me, it's Diamond, it's Fat Joe, Show.
What was that record? With the blues record, that
was the Ultimate Force with Diamond D and Master R.
They were
Forest.
from there? They were from Forest?
That was Forest.
Yeah, because he says Forest on it.
Coco from SWV, Forest.
Oh, well, nice.
Like, so Forest was like,
Wow, that was really a
Forest
connection.
was on fire.
That's why you did that SWV remix too, because of the Coco.
That was being in the right place at the right at the right time, because Tanya Henderson, God bless, she passed away. Tanya Henderson was at Giant Warner Brothers when I was there doing Return of the Funky Man. So when I started getting into production, she hooked me up with the SWV remix, and I didn't even know Cheryl was singing like that.
Wow, really?
That's she crazy. Was in an interview saying, she walked up to me one day and said, I want to be your dancer. And she said, I shunned her. I don't know, Cheryl, if I did that. I'm sorry, but I don't remember that. But anyway,
small world, man.
I'm glad you didn't become a dancer, because
her voice, man.
Yeah.
Voice is impeccable.
It's crazy. Like, you went to school with showbiz, right?
Yes.
And then you also, Diamond D was at like a school, another school.
It's crazy.
Right?
I started off in Catholic school.
Okay.
My grandmother, God bless, she always wanted to push me, and she thought Catholic school was the way.
Yeah. Why was you like, you weren't a bad kid, right?
No, I wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
But she just wanted my education level to be high, which, God bless, it worked.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, what's good? This is the R.O.A.D podcast, Reflections of a DJ. We're here in New York City, and we have invaded the Sound Collective. Now, I want to explain what the Sound Collective is. I got my man Lefty from the Sound Collective here. Lefty, thank you for having us and hosting this beautiful studio for us. Exactly what is the Sound Collective here in New York?
Modern, state-of-the-art facility with tons of production gear. And one side of it is you can be a member and you can come here and pay monthly to use the rooms and the gear and sign out time and our space. We have a state-of-the-art studio. We have all these production stations, DJ stations, instrument practicing rooms and such like that.
And you also teach. You have classes and sessions, right?
We have intensive programs, short-term programs that people can come and take Saturday classes on DJing, production.
There's kind of a community building within where there's DJs, producers, musicians.
Up and coming producers, people honing their craft and learning, and DJs and all these things. And they come here and practice, and we have all the new gear, so they come and check that out and get familiar. And a lot of DJs will come in from out of town, be like, let me get a day pass so I can just get a refresh on the 3000s and the V10.
And what's great is that a lot of our guests, everyone from Clark Kent to the technician to Camilo, they come in here and they're just holy shit.
You want to play with all the gear, man? Yeah.
I didn't even realize this, but you guys have studio spaces where people can do live streams and they can do their Twitch streams.
Yep. We got a whole green screen set up already, multicam, full on switcher. We also do a lot of events here. We're bringing a lot of outside talent, organizations. We got a big event coming up with DJ City, Beat Source, and Serato.
That's part of our family.
Yeah. We did a big one last year with them. We got another one coming up.
For our listeners, is there any way we could hook them up with a deal, or if they put in a R.O.A.D podcast code?
Tell me about it. What else do you have in vision for this deal? It sounds like we're well on our way. Why don't you tell them?
You're working with us where they can type in a code for R.O.A.D.
Yep.
And they'll get a month free, right?
Yeah, on our online platform. We have a whole online platform with masterclass style education.
Nice.
Different categories and everything, instruments, drums. And then we have these things that we're launching right now called Pro Paths. So you can choose, if you're a producer, you can take the Ableton Pro Path, the Logic Pro Path, Serato Studio. Goes through a wide variety of knowledge besides just stuff in that skill set and discipline.
So our R.O.A.D listeners, if you're in New York You can check out their facility. You can do a day pass, a week pass, a monthly pass. You can check out their site. You have access to all their education online.
Soundcollective.com. We also have a YouTube channel that has some of our content from the educational courses, and all of our events are live streamed and put up there.
I hope we can come back here and use your facilities again.
Looking forward to it.
Shout to Lefty and the Sound Collective. Thank you so much.
So Diamond was in St. Augustine's with me. But after, I think about 7th grade, I was telling my grandmother, I don't want to do Catholic school no more. Because it's like Catholic school at the time was really families that had a mother and father. They had a real system. Not saying my grandmother wasn't a system, but she's doing it single-handedly. I'm watching her struggle to keep me there. So it's one thing to even put you in Catholic school, and it's another thing if she's barely putting you in Catholic school, your gear ain't going to be up to par. Your whole social life is going to be a battle.
Right. And there's also like a guilt too, because you're seeing like your parent or your guardian like really just like struggle.
Right.
To provide.
So now you coming in there, your gear ain't right, they want to snap. I was always snapping. That was just part of it. So the snapping turned into fight because you thinking like, I'm going to snap on him and everybody going to laugh, but then you snap back and the dude like, oh, this dude snapped better than me. Yo, after school, 3 o'clock, that old, silly type thing. But yeah.
And it's still a Bronx.
It didn't, I told her I didn't feel blended in because it was some people I knew, but it wasn't my friends that I bond with every day or, on the weekends. It's just a whole class of other people, but it taught me a lot and a lot of...
Well, that's all your punchlines, right? Come from just like all your quick punchlines are snapping back.
Snapping, always.
That's just like being witty.
But a lot of my friends from Catholic school, they want to do great things. I bump into them now. It's just crazy because I'm just somewhere else. They somewhere else. But the love is always there. It still feels like we're in high school when you see them like, oh, yo. So, Catholic school was a blessing. I understood that because when I got to junior high school, that's when me and Sho was in school together. And when I got to junior high school, it was like the work was just easy to the point where I'm knocking it out. They put the whole board full of work and you just knock it out. And I'm sitting there drawing or whatever. And it's like, yo, you ain't doing your work. I'm finished. And then it's like, you ain't finished. And then you look, oh. You don't even got nothing wrong. Proceed on. Do what you're doing. It was like that.
Where did you and Sho like connect? How'd you guys connect?
Junior high school 120.
Was it through music, DJing? Because
he was called Scratch Master Rakim.
Oh, man.
So if you listen to the first album, I'm referring to him as Scratch Master Rakim. Sho and A wasn't even a thing yet.
Right.
That happened during Funky Technician. AG was, my boy. I battled him in high school. I went up to Clinton, and I battled him in high school. And then we kind of lost touch. And then the summer, I think around the summer of 89, that's where I reconnected with him. And I was like, yo, you still rhyming? He was like, yeah, but his name was Infinite. It wasn't even AG.
Wow.
So Sho was looking for an artist. AG was looking for a DJ. And during the making of Funky Technician, that album, that's how they bonded. And right after that, you got Sho and AG.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So how was the thing with Diamond D? Because how did you just know him from the projects for playing music?
When I got to high school, I used to, was it high school? Yeah, I used to cut school and be in Diamond crib watching him DJ. He was cutting 45s then. I would watch him DJ or yo, let's make a tape. He DJ, I rhyme. It was like that.
Wow.
So it was just like it was a pathway to go to high school, and Diamond Windows right there with the pathway. Yo, Rob, you going to school today? Yo, I'm going to go, but I'm going to come up there after homeroom, and that's how me and Diamond bonded, but more or less it was during that time was during the Ultimate Force. So this was before Diamond decided to be a solo act. It was him and Rob. It was another Rob called Master Rob. So, and Rob building was right across from mine. His building was 975. My building was 965.
So he had already had a taste of the life a little bit.
Yeah. So you had Rob was in 975. Fat Joe building was 1,000. Diamond's building was right across the street from Joe, was 1020.
It's like the making of DITC, just growing up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It kind of reminds me of like De La in Long Island, just like all these talented motherfuckers going to the same school and being around the same neighborhood.
Nuts.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Nuts.
So
you already had the ear when you were in the studio with Premier, and he's playing the same.
I ain't have the ear.
You don't think so?
I had a feel of what I wanted to rhyme to. Production wise, nah.
You figure that you were picky of because of your style?
I think it was because of the style.
Okay.
I wanted to flow a certain way.
And
then,
you know, if that style is not out yet, it's probably hard to find a bit.
yeah, it's
you know
just
what I mean?
like I need even to today, hip hop is funk to me. It's
Different type
it's
of
an
bop.
energy that makes you want to write the things you want to write. It's an energy that makes you want to, represent yourself in such a way, in a big performance way. And you have to find, and not for nothing, Premier was holding back too, because it was like, there's some stuff like, I remember, I forgot what it was, but it's a James Brown joint called Nose Job. Mm-hmm. And he gave it to Guru.
Maceo. Oh, no, actually.
It's the I'm like, that's it. Nah, that's for Guru.
He ended up using it, though.
He used it, but it was a vibe. It had to be a vibe to the sample that makes me go, okay, I could rock with that. But yeah, to Premier's credit, I think he should have been the executive producer of Funky Technician. Because he was so pivotal, making sure my flow was right. It wasn't even his sessions, but he was there. Nah, you could say that over again.
Really?
Nah, you could do that again. Premier's like, man, he's like the big brother I didn't have. So Premier was always there. Come get me from my grandmom's crib, take me down to the studio. I actually smoked my first blunt with Premier.
Wow.
Fun fact. And I'm not a smoker, so
I was looking at a bunch of YouTube videos with you, and there was a comment, and rest in peace to Big L. Comment said, Lord Finesse is the father of Big L's style. His punchline style rubbed on to Big L.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting because when I think of Diamond D and even AG, I mean, there is, first of all, your voice is so unique, and your flow is unique. And then I think I was talking with Goldie. It's like you have one of the most crystal clear deliveries.
But you know what it is?
The enunciation of every word.
It's so audible, but if you listen to him rhyme enough, it sounds so disrespectful. It's like I heard everything he said. I just don't know how to react to it.
because it's such a nonchalant way of
it's like I really don't care. I'm just gonna tell you,
which makes it more foul.
Yeah.
Which means
see, but that was the art of hip hop, right? Because when you hearing all these records coming out, everybody is this person or this character,
right?
Or I'm the best, or so it was such a competitive thing. It's just maybe I took it over the top, because there's I think y'all hot. Well, I'm this, I'm that, and you ain't this, and you ain't that, and.
I remember looking at the cover of the album and like, the cat with the waves and the part, he's disrespectful. But it was so smooth. It was like, where's he from? Because he didn't rhyme like Kane, and Kane did that style. He did that punchline style, but it was a total different edge with Finesse.
It's also like the speed of the records, too,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
You were rhyming on more mid-tempo, slower records. And it was like, I don't know if when you were with Premier, if you were looking for that BPM that kind of fit your flow a little more.
It was like, I actually rhymed on faster beats on the first album.
Right.
Yeah, you did.
Then I did the second, because now, once I fell into my style, I'm just laid back now.
Right.
And I could rhyme fast, but But it was just like, no, you can hear me more when I'm in my pocket. Like, I can rhyme fast, but I never wanted to rhyme where you couldn't hear everything I was saying because it's going so fast.
That wasn't the problem, trust me.
You know,
because you heard everything and it was like, ooh, rewind that part.
But Funky Technician, I was trying to find my way.
Right.
I wasn't complete. Like, I was just trying to find, okay, where am I going to fit in this game? And I said this in an interview before, it's like a lot of those records will kind of emulate my heroes. Let's say if you listen to Lesson to Be Taught and Track the Movement, that's more KRS-One.
I gotta listen to the album again.
Yeah, if you listen to Back to Back Rhyming, that's more like G-Rap. Equip the flip with a slip of a lip, so dance, hop, skip, shake your hip. I wax taxi you up like a Kit Kat. Don't even riff back. That's G-Rap.
Yeah.
Kane was more like keep it flowing.
Strictly for the Ladies was you.
That was me. That was a routine because it was a routine that me and Mike Smooth would do in parties because you can rap about women and you could tell the women what type of women you after. And you doing it in a fun way where it's like, yo, okay. Who else? Rakim was more like slave to my sound wave. Clear the crowd and get the stage set. You still got time, so put a tape in your tape deck. Sit down, relax as I drop facts. Rhymes attract the crowd once I got them down packed. That's Rakim. You know, so the first album was me finding my way. The punchlines was there.
Yeah.
But I was just finding my way. Now, about time the second album, and, you know, it was just a constant, because now you get challenged. I think about time Awakening came, I was being challenged, where all you could do is punchlines. You can't, and that's where the greasy talk started getting. That's when it got real greasy.
Now, around the time of the Return of Funky Man, this is like 99, 91, 90?
92.
92?
What's that?
Return of Funky
Technician?
Man.
Return of Funky Man
like 91?
was done in 91, released in 92.
But this is around about the time when you actually started producing now, right?
Yes. Well,
because you did the Trespass Train. That was like 90, right?
Yes. What happened was Show produced on that, Diamond produced on that, La T produced on that, my boy Peter Wayne. It was different people, but I had to really oversee it. I ain't have a premiere there no more. So I had to sit there and write the rhymes and make sure. Like, nobody told me verses had to be 16 or be 12 bars. I was rhyming 40, 50 bars a verse.
Right.
Like, nobody showed me
structure.
That structure.
Right.
I had to learn that structure. It's like going from a battle rapper into becoming an artist. It's not an easy thing to start writing concepts, and so I had to learn that. And here's the deal. It was like Ice-T helped me get off of Wild Pitch. Said if you get off of Wild Pitch, I got a situation for you with Rhyme Syndicate, and I'll get you a deal. So boom, he gets me Giant Warner Brothers. Now, if anybody knows Ice-T, he's like the jeweler, man. Ice is a walking jewelry store. Not just because he's who he is his knowledge, his hustle, the way he talked to you. Ice could talk himself into any situation he wanted. And that's when I was with Ice. That's when I really started to understand who Ice was and why he made the records he made. Because he's really talking about what he went through in life. Maybe it doesn't have the same structure as a Law of Finesse rhyming, but when he was teaching me, now I understand what colors mean. We took me on my first European tour in 1991, fall 1991, and I got to watch him perform, and I got to watch him. But the thing was, I told him not too long ago, I was happy with the deal, but I was more there for the mentorship. And I don't think I got that. That's what made me become a producer, because I'm thinking Ice is gonna be there. He's gonna tell me the type of records I need to make. He has the relationship with the label, so he can tell the label what I need, why I need, tell me what to do, and it can be a perfect fit.
Right.
But when, this happened around New Jack City.
Right.
So he's doing that movie. Then he do Ricochet. Then he's the movie dude now.
And
he's not there.
Giant's not even really a hip hop label like that.
Right. So they dropped me after the first single. They're like, no, they think they gave me 2 singles.
No, they gave you a couple.
They gave me one video.
Yeah.
But he's not there to
Steering
reinsure them.
Right.
And he's not there to navigate that I make the right things go on. So that's where I feel like that, But the silver lining was the production.
Great. I was wondering why you had Aladdin and SLJ, Ice-T's producers on that album. Because I was like, where did that tie into? Now I know. Yeah.
Right. And now SLJ is a part of Sarah, So
Sarah's dope.
Yeah, it's like...
So that situation forced you to have to learn production.
I had to learn production.
Because he did that Trespass joint. I remember that being a big record.
Yeah, I was starting, and I remember being on tour. And I was on tour, and I had a record that I submitted, and they was like, nah, this ain't it. If you want to make this soundtrack, you're going to have to come in the studio and redo the song. And I remember being on a Source tour, and I left the tour for that one day. I did some real jump on a plane, flew in the studio. I had the beat done already for Trespass. I just didn't know what I was going to use it for. But when you made me scrap this song, I had to restructure the whole song to that beat, which wasn't bad, But, and then I did it, mixed it, and then jumped on I didn't even jump on a plane. I have a limo driver drive me all the way back to D.C.
Wow.
So I could make the show. So it was like my life has been a total adventure. Like when it's time for me to write my book, it's so many different layers. It's not just DJing, rapping, it's production. It's like shit. I used to coach unlimited basketball, so I had teams in the Rucker when Fat Joe had teams in the Rucker. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So my life is just, I'm blessed.
Yeah. I was wondering, like, with the scratches on Return of the Funky Man, was that you or Diamond D? Because at this point, Mike Smooth wasn't a part of the second album, right?
No.
And then I was talking with Goldie, and then a lot of the scratches were in that album were Premiere, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the second album, were you and Diamond doing some of the scratches, like the little things, like in Fuck 'Em, like I ain't bullshitting.
I got Steve D to do a lot of scratches, and who? Yeah, I got Steve D. I'm trying to think, was it Raider anywhere on that? No, that was Steve D. I got him to do the scratches. I think it's in the credits.
Is it?
Yeah. If you pull up the album, it's in the credits.
So I was re-listening and I was like, man, was Finesse doing that or Diamond D?
No, I wasn't that nice. Not that cut.
Not at that time.
Nah.
Wait, who kind of guided you through production? Was it Diamond D and Showbiz? You were just like watching them more.
You have to understand. I was around Premiere.
Right.
I was around Show. I was around Diamond. I was around an early Large Professor. So, and who played the part? Jess West played the part. So the SB 1200, that's like Show and Large. I learned a lot from watching them. And the filtering and all that, Jess West taught me that with the S950, and Jess West is the one that introduced me to Puff, and that's how I got
That's a good segue.
hooked up with the Biggie situation.
Yeah. Suicide Thoughts, yeah.
Because he came down. I remember he came down and showed me how to work it, and came down probably a week or two later to hear where I was at with it. Was like, yo, This shit is crazy.
Just West was early on the Bad Boy tip with that old Dolly My Baby and all that other good stuff like that.
Okay.
So Finesse was on there when Biggie was still on Uptown.
Yes. So Party and Bullshit remix.
Yeah.
And if you also
What You Want, nigga?
No, I ain't do What You Want. That was Jeff. I mean, that was Just West.
That was Just West?
I think that was Just West.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that had to be Just West. Then you had...
You did another record, didn't you? Do a record
did Come On, Motherfucker.
Come On, Motherfucker. That's what I wanted
That was originally for that album.
Right.
The first album.
Right.
I also did on the Who's the Man... Because I was around during that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the Man? I did Ease Up for third
You did
album.
Ease Up?
Yes.
Wow. I played that a lot.
Ease Up.
John
What's it all
Coltrane.
about? So, yeah.
John Coltrane sample.
I was like, because when you started doing production, was everyone just excited to hear that? They were like, let's hear what Finesse got, because you got a bunch of credits and a bunch of remixes at that time.
It just was natural. You know how you be around people and you listening and you soaking and you absorbing.
Yeah.
And then one day you around your own equipment and you trying to mess with it, and then everything that everybody taught you just started to just go, oh, okay, now I know why he did. Oh, okay. And it just came to me like that.
Yeah.
So that was a time around the Bad Boy thing, and that was half of Big L's Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous.
I don't want to skip
done
this.
at that time.
Around about that time of Return to Funky Man, you came out with Yes You May. Am I correct?
Yes. That
Yes,
was the
You May.
unreleased B-side.
Yes You May was a big deal. I don't know if anybody... Look, that was a very big deal, and we knew that Finesse, you produced that, right?
No, T-Ray produced
T-Ray
that.
produced that. Okay, okay.
With that and the Party Over Here.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that was a big deal. That was a really big deal, because that was the pretty
That
much...
was the introduction of Big L.
Very much so.
And
very much so.
He destroyed his intro. Like if you got a certain way to come out into the world to introduce yourself, he had the perfect intro. Everywhere that I go, brothers know my fucking name. I'm flooring niggas, and the only way a buck can change. I gave a lot of black eyes in my extorting days. Fucking with me, a lot of niggas was sporting shades.
Right. Yeah.
I grabbed the mic and I scar jerks, niggas running up, put me on. What the fuck is the Star Search? I relieve rappers like Sudafed. And if the microphone was smoked, then Big L would be a Buddha head. Yo, the whole shit, I'm sitting there looking like, God damn. But I was happy for him.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to find the right situation to put him on, and I finally found it with the Yes You May.
How did you guys meet up?
Doing an autograph signing in Rockin' Wills on 125th Street. So Rockin' Wills was the hub, right? Because, you know, Rockin' Wills is, you had Kid Capri putting his tapes through there. You had Ron G. You had S&S. That was the ultimate Harlem hub. That's where they was doing the hard pack tapes at. That's where I met Buck Wow. So I met Buck Wow and Big L through the Rock and Will connection, because I was doing mixtapes.
Yep.
Really?
Through that hub. Still got them. You know, so
Buck Wow was doing mixtapes too?
he was doing mixtapes too.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
And then was it like when y'all linked up? Was he always around? He was going to the studio with you, Big L.
Big L?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I was wondering what the writing process was like for both of y'all. Like, would y'all
Big
write
L
together?
was like, nah, we never wrote together. L always came prepared. Like if we had it could be Represent. He's on Represent, you know, or for the Showbiz and AG album. He comes in ready. Like I've never seen somebody come in, and this is the verse I'm gonna spit. I don't care what y'all do. This is what I'm using. And it wasn't one time where he go, wait up, let me take that verse back. And no, he comes in prepared.
Even before he hears the beat?
He might have had the beat sometime, but even if he ain't have the beat, he came prepared. Like, and he was around me absorbing and learning.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, you know, of course our style is similar.
Yeah.
And then he kind of advanced it, because he became Big L 2.0 after Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous. He was already a terror.
So what was it when you met him? What made L that person that you wanted to put on when you met him? Because you meet him at your signing. So how does it work?
He comes in with his boy. Like, say they walk through the door.
Okay.
So he's too cool. He sends his boy over. Yo, my man, he's nice. You want to rhyme for me? So I'm like, nah, I'm going to give him my manager number. So he walks back over, and dude comes back over. My man said, fuck that. He said, he rhymed for you, and if you don't like him, he'll never bother you again.
That's
I was like...
So how old is he, like 16, 17?
Gotta be like 16, 17s. And I'm like, all right. And he rhymes. When he finished, I'm getting all his numbers. Like, yo.
Funny.
Because I never seen a teenager at that age that advanced. Like, he was advanced. So I was like, damn, if he's like, he's going to be ill. So, yes, that's when, I would pick him up from school. Like, he basically hung with me. And that's how when you see the MTV thing with Dr. Dre and you see Big L in the corner of my interview, yeah.
Wow.
It was just like, yo, I'm going to MTV. What you doing? And scoop him up. And like he was with me, like, and it took a while to get him a deal because he was getting frustrated because he knew he was nice, but labels wasn't, labels was looking for that commercial thing. So they wouldn't know what to do with a Big L.
Well, if they went to the clubs, they would have found out because these guys used to do the freestyles at these clubs in Manhattan, the Muse. They just stop everything and they start freestyling. You're like, and then L would
in the middle of the club?
Yeah.
Nah, it was a different era. That's why when I look at this era, like
if they had him performing or whatever like that, this guy would get on and start freestyling. Then Big L, he'd pass the mic to Big L. Big L rhyme and freestyle. And be like, what?
it was
crazy.
You wanted to make your mark.
Yeah.
You want to let people know you were nice. It wasn't like this era. I love the battle aspect and feel. That reminds me somewhat of our era. But you had to do that live in the club in front of everybody at any given night. So, and Aqua's a big part of that too, because Aqua gassed me up like, yo, it's a record release party. Who's on the turntable? So-and-so. Well, they got this record? Yeah. And Aqua's my running... That was my running partner. So, yeah, shout out to Akinelli. And this is before Put It In Your Mouth. So, yeah, Aqua's...
Well, y'all just kind of like, float around to different parties, different showcases, and just bum rush.
You gotta understand, it was a party every given night in New York at that time.
Album release
party. It was something.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. Every night in New York, you could find somewhere to go. Whether you uptown in Harlem or whether you're downtown Lower East Side of New York, you had somewhere to go.
So it's almost like you guys were like comedians floating around to different comedy clubs and working out, just hopping in there and just spitting in the middle of a show. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It's a way you write something, and it's a way to test it to see if it really works the way you got it planned in your mind.
But it's also to make a mark and show out.
Yeah.
And let everyone know.
Yeah.
That's great. I would never imagine that. Everyone just floating around.
That's exactly how it was. Exactly how it was.
Wow. And then you would have Big L come with you, and then everyone just started learning about Big L.
Yeah, because if I had a show, when I took a break, I bring L on and let him do his 10, 15 minutes. And this was before he had the deal with Sony. So about time he got the deal with Sony, he was ready.
Yeah.
I just think he got lost in the sauce with Sony because I think David Kahn is the person that signed Big L. And when L finally made it, David Kahn was no longer there. So now
regime change.
He's stuck. But Faith's priority is Nas. And L had nobody really there
championing him.
Taish Harris was there, but she was in charge of promotion.
Yeah.
She wasn't that person that could go in. She did the best she could all the time. She always did whatever she could. But Elle didn't have that spokesperson.
Yeah. That was Columbia House, right?
Right. So now
Not Columbia.
Columbia. I'm sorry. So it was Columbia.
you got Nas with Premier, Large, Q-Tip, Pete. This was the most anticipated album ever, right? So all this is going on. Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous is out, but they so gearing up for Nas.
Yeah.
Then right after Nas come the Fugees. He just got lost in the sauce up there. And they let him go. And,
But not before MVP. He made his mark.
He made his mark, but he could have did so much more. But he came back, reinvented on Ebonics.
Yep.
His record, his label, his 12-inch. So now he's learning to be the boss of what he wants to do in the future because at that time, we were all dropping independent singles through Fat Beats. I was probably I was the first out the crew to do a single on Fat Beats. Might have been one of the first 12 inches out of Fat Beats. We're talking about the beginning of Fat Beats.
Yeah.
When we started doing independent 12 inches.
And that was a big deal.
Yes.
It was a very big deal.
It was,
because now it's like a different playing ground now. You know what I mean? Like the records that you really want to hear from the artists you really wanted to hear from, they could put that shit out whenever they wanted to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yo, that freestyle or that joint that I heard on that mixtape, that's on the record. You know?
Yeah.
There wasn't
That
like
was
a
a big
label
deal.
diluting.
It wasn't that at
creativity or
all.
nothing.
Nah, that's coming out.
It was like direct to consumer from the artist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then if I'm not
to
talking
the
out of
city.
turn, it felt like you kind of went back and started kind of rallying the troops a little bit around about that time.
Yeah,
when Big
that's
L.
when you started getting all the DITC singles.
Yeah, yeah.
Day
That's
one,
why, because we started seeing-
international known and internationally known and
Day one.
the enemy.
Yeah.
Crazy
so-
records. Crazy records.
Because you getting actually the artists that's loving what they do, and it's raw. It's no label telling you to cut back or, hey, you need to do this. No, we're gonna do what we want to do.
Now, how different was this when you had the third album, when you went to Penalty? Because Penalty was kind of like, they had a little bit of a edge as far as they had like a mind state, sort of like an independent. To a
Yes.
And there's a significant amount of time in between the second and the third album where you were kind of building.
Because it was just like after the Warner Brothers situation, it was just like, what am I going to do next? Like,
But that's right around the time when your production started exploding.
Right.
and that's where it taught me that you can live like a dual situation, being an artist and being a producer.
Right.
So I wasn't never the artist that always craved the cameras. And now if I'm on stage, then I'm going to do what I do. But off stage, I was kind of to the left. I was quiet, laid back, just chilling. And when I found out I could produce, still get royalties and publishing, but be in the background, yeah, because at that time I was just locked in the house doing music. So while I'm doing that, I'm also quietly putting Awakening together. I'm quietly, I'm going to keep this one. Oh, I'm going to keep this. Oh, I give that away. Oh, I'm going to keep this. Because OC could tell you, Jewel, off that, the title track off of Jewel, which I produced, was going to be an interlude on Awakening. And OC's like, you fucking bugging. I need that. So,
but you had a lot of joints out at that time that you produced. I mean, besides the Biggie
Culture.
stuff, Trends of Culture, Off and On was a big record.
That was
a big fucking record.
That was a big record.
It's a big record.
but it was crazy because that's when I was living on 58th Street. I used to live on 58th Street and 10th Avenue. Nobody knew that. So I remember, man, it's a lot, man. I remember
Because you were doing R&B shit too.
Yeah, I remember. Damn, that's starting to bring back memories. I remember when Trends of Culture came to the crib and we did Off and On. We did it from scratch. I put it together like y'all rhyming, and I'm just going through stuff
like some premiere shit. Like
and I put it together. Wow. Right, but that apartment, man, I made some joints in that apartment.
Yeah, because if you look at the timeline, that's like 93, 94, 95. This is when the beginning of Biggie stuff. This is the Trends of Culture stuff. You was doing some R&B shit. Mm-hmm. You did something for the Freedom soundtrack, right? Did you do the Freedom joint? Or they used your beat?
Sure. They probably used my beat. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think he was out there. Like, you know what I mean? It started becoming a situation where it was like, this is kind of like a big deal with this DITC.
Yeah, it was definitely like making your bones in production.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Nah, it's like I said, it's so many layers to how I was navigating through the game. Like Trends of Culture, they was managed by Darren Chandler. So he got me to do, and I think OG hooked me up with Darren Chandler. I don't know how it went, but that's how I did Off and On. Then that's when I was listening to R.O.A.D demos. R.O.A.D was under Darren Chandler. So was Dinky Bingham, the keyboard player. So when I first heard R.O.A.D was through Darren. My production partner to this day, my man Bo, I met through Darren. So we've been partners since like 2002, but I've still got, Dink there. If you don't know who Dinky Bingham is, keyboard extraordinaire and the father of Yummy Bingham. So it's crazy when I was working with Dink, and that was during Awakening. I remember Yummy used to come in the house and had to do a homework. Like that's my niece.
Wow.
Yeah.
But this is also it's kind of like, because DITC, Digging in the Crates, the crew kind of formed around the return of the Funky Man, right?
No.
A little bit after.
Wow, you want that story.
Because
okay.
what I'm wondering is, like, as you were getting into production and the Digging in the Crates crew was like forming, you guys were like digging together, like just going out?
Yes. That's a whole nother layer. Well, Diamond, like I said, Diamond had Ultimate Force. He was the first out the crew with Master Rob to have Ultimate Force. I was probably the first out the crew to have an album, Funky Technician. And then I had Show, Diamond, and AG on Funky Technician. When Show and them did the Soul Clap EP, that's where you start forming DITC. Just with the record alone, DITC.
Right, it's called Digging in the Crates.
Yeah.
Nobody was saying Digging in the Crates before you guys. I don't remember anybody saying digging.
Definitely.
So
that term.
Yeah.
I don't remember that term.
Yeah,
being
so that's when you got Show.
Definitely one of the best names ever.
That's when you got
Digging in the Crates.
Show, Diamond. That's when they started rapping. If you listen to that, that's when they was rapping. And then me and A was on that song. And then it started to, I can't say, it wasn't like we was going around picking members. It was just automatically forming, right? So I meet Buck Wow. Mike Smooth is not really doing shows with me no more, so Buck is DJing for me. Okay, I take Buck Wow on a Source tour with me. So he's on a Source tour with me, and then him and OC becomes cool, and they say, yo, man, when this tour is over, I'm gonna work with OC. Bang, that's Word Life right there.
Right.
All right, but that's 94. So Fat Joe's already in 92 with Flo Joe?
Like Flo Joe, right.
Diamond was doing Fat Joe promos.
Okay.
Red Alert wanted promos, and Flo Joe was a promo. And then he got a deal. And then it's just like, it wasn't like, hey, we're going to take you, it just formed.
Who initiated the name and like becoming a crew and all that shit?
Well, I think that goes back to Diamond and Show with DITC. I would definitely say that. But it's like I said, it's layers because I'm trying to. So you got show A.G. and then I meet Big L I meet him at the
record store.
The record store. Mm-hmm. Then you get OC is like probably the last member, and like I said, it wasn't like it was just organic,
right? But it almost feels like an Uptown BX thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of OC and Big L. Big L is Harlem.
Yeah.
And then you got to understand Big L.
Well, Uptown and BX, I feel like they just...
Got to understand BL rebirthed the borough, right? I always say that, and I say it in the most sincere form because before L, you had Dougie Fresh,
Raw Bass,
Kumo D, Raw Bass. So now when L comes... Just understand L's style compared to all the styles I just mentioned. Then you get McGruff.
Yep.
Then you get Cam. You get Mace.
Right.
And then
Children of the Corn.
Yeah, that starts a whole nother thing.
A whole nother wave, yeah.
Right.
A whole nother wave. That goes into Children of the Corn, Dipset, whatever you...
Right.
That starts a whole nother thing.
That's true, yeah.
It's layers. Even if I go back into the production thing when I did the SWV remix... You had a person, I think I met All Star in Massachusetts somewhere. And he told me he did beats. And I set up a meeting with him and Tanya Henderson at RCA. And so when you started getting all those All Star remixes,
that was all RX, yeah.
That was connection due to me.
Oh wow.
So
Kenny Ortiz.
We could just Kenny Ortiz, man. Salute to Kenny. Kenny was the dude.
Yeah.
You know, so when I look at my journey throughout music, it's a deep journey. Like, and I know I'm missing stories, and you know whatever questions y'all got, I'm just adding while you're giving me these questions.
I mean, like digging into crates when you guys started releasing independence through Fat Beats, right? Mm-hmm. What was going on recording wise, studio wise? Was there an intention to be like this? We're gonna make a DITC album, or y'all were just recording? You're like, we're tired of fucking with the labels. We're just gonna put some of these singles out.
It started to go. We should do an album together, and I always say that was the most complicated thing in life because everybody was their own master chef, and to put 7-8 chefs in the kitchen to cook one meal.
Oh wow, yeah.
Without really a supervisor supervising a whole meal. It was hard to find direction because Joe, he wants that commercial. He wants radio. You know, you got so many different creative niches in that, you know? Like, so it was hard. And then even when Tommy Boy released that album wasn't done. It was just them being pissed off and grabbing the DATs and throwing it out. So that wasn't even the best because we were still trying to find our way. It was just Tommy Boy being impatient, wanting an album because one's supposed to be delivered.
Yeah, because I remember the singles, the independent releases were like years before the album even dropped. Mm-hmm. And so did you guys have some of the songs and the independent releases came out and then the labels were like, hey, we're interested in this Digging in the Crates album? Or were you already kind of talking to the labels about the album?
I think it was supposed to be Raucous first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was supposed to be Raucous first, and then it went to Tommy Boy.
And around this time, you were finishing up The Awakening, right? Or The Awakening was out by then?
I think The Awakening was done. I was out there with Dre at that time.
Right. For the message.
Right.
What was that like?
We got to rewind to him working with Big though. That's a big move.
Oh yeah.
Were you in the studio with Big for Suicide?
No, I was Big. Going to a Big session was like going to a party. Literally.
Talk about the party and bullshit. I want to get to that at the beginning, when he's just Big, not Notorious.
Well, you know, at the time, Puff was doing all them R&B remixes. That's what I thought I was coming for. Get me a Mary remix or something like, you know. And he was like, "Yo, I want you to work with Big." And I was like, "Who's Big?" You know, nobody knew who Big was at the time. And I mean, when I got a chance to meet him. We just clicked. It was me, it was Big, it was Just West. God bless, it was True Color, so it was Third Eye. So it was me, Big, and Third Eye. We would always hang together, like all the time. And it's a Dream Hampton got footage of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That was going down in Hit Fact. That was what it was. And we would crack jokes, and it was so much fun. You forget you're in there doing music until he goes in the booth and you go, oh shit, I forgot we doing music, you know. But no, Big was special from the day I heard him. I was like, yo, this dude, he's different. He didn't have a style like nothing else that was going on in the industry. He'd take you all over the world with his style. It was like a rhythm. I can't, put a finger on it, but yeah, Big was. You
were there for the beginning of the Bad Boy movement.
Yes.
That was
I was there when
they pretty much based it around
when Bad Boy was just a logo in the back of his his MCA office. Right. Wasn't even a label yet.
Right.
Yeah, but
was Suicide Thoughts early on, or was it kind of like when they were putting together Ready to Die?
Yes.
Was it like one of the earlier records?
Big heard it and was like, I need that.
Wow.
But compared to listening to Warning and listening to Warning,
because you had already did Come On.
Yeah, that was the first.
That was the first record with him and Sadat.
Awakening
that never released.
And you did a couple of different versions of that record, didn't you? As far as the beats, or as far as
it was raw, and then I started putting it together.
Right.
And then
because you remember hearing in Brooklyn, hearing like different iterations of the song, like yo, you got a record with Sadat, you got a record with Sadat.
Yeah, and then Suicidal Thought came into play, and I think me and Puff got into it. And
now you did that in L.A.
What?
What did you do to Suicidal?
No, that was done here. It was done here. I just know, it was us. It was like, who was there at the time? You gotta say Just West, Mo B, Tony Dofat.
Okay.
People forget Tony Dofat.
I'm definitely. He had a lot of joints on there.
Chucky.
Oh, nice.
Chucky.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Like that. This was the surrounding before he made the Hitman.
Mm-hmm.
Was that's what he was using for all the remixes. Those individuals. Because if you remember Tony Dofat, did he do
Heavy D stuff?
He did the Heavy D stuff, but he did the Mary joint. You don't have to worry, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
did your falling out with Puff happen at the same time as Sadat? Because that Come On never came out, right? It was supposed to be on Ready to Die.
He tried to scrap everything I did, off that first album, but Big wasn't letting him do that to Suicidal Thoughts. Like, nah, I'm keeping this. You tripping?
Yeah.
But it was like, it was just like the falling out was just over. I don't know. I think ego.
When you heard Suicidal Thoughts, right? When you knew you was making that beat, you was like, I know I got some shit right here.
No, I knew it was dope, but I didn't know he was gonna take it. I'm like, yo, let me play you something. Nope, that's it.
Wow.
Because like I said, I heard Warning, Give Me the Loot, things done changed. So I'm like, how does Suicidal Thought fit in that situation?
He had a whole arc to his story, and you probably didn't,
Yeah. So when he put it together and I heard the ending of the album, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this is tough from beginning to end. This is crazy. But me and Big always stayed in contact, even, when I wasn't around, because I introduced Buck to him.
Right.
So that's how you got story to tell.
Right.
See, that becomes a whole nother thing, because now you got me, Buck, and Easy LP. Easy LP would get money. Iced Out Medallions, Uchi Wally,
right?
Special Delivery. You got Buck doing his thing. So
whoa,
even when I wasn't, even when I wasn't around Puff anymore, you still got my team.
Right.
You got my team. You got my brothers I hang out with. So I was still there. Always talk to Big and kick it. I just didn't come around as much. And then, the Dr. Dre situation came into play when I did the message. So I was out there. It was just like a time where I was just everywhere.
How did Dr. Dre reach out or connect with you?
That's another story. That's Mailman. Mailman was actually in New York digging for records. He was in A1. So when I went, I went down to A1 to go buy some records. I didn't know who he was. I was just digging, and he kind of knew who I was. But he said that Rob and them was telling him, leave him alone, let him dig over there, you know, don't bother him. He's like, nah, I ain't, you know. But we wound up chopping it up in A1, and I told him, what you doing? Come hang out with me uptown. So I actually brought him to the Bronx when I was running the basketball tournament in Forest. So he got to sit there. He was like, this is crazy. He's seeing Fat Joe. He's seeing Pun. Everybody's at the basketball game just watching the games.
That's crazy.
So he went back to L.A. like, yo, I was hanging with Law Finesse. Yo, this dude is the coolest. And Dre was like, well, bring him out here. And I was out there for 3 weeks. I remember staying in the Motown, you know, and just trying to work with him on this Chronic album.
How many beats did y'all go through or make together for the message?
No, it was just that one.
It was just that one.
When you hear the message, how you hear it is how it was. It was just my verse taken off of it.
So you rhymed to it?
Yeah, I rhymed to it.
Crazy.
It's on YouTube. But
it
was one of those songs where, damn, this shit is so dope. I don't want to fuck it up. So it was.
But you had this in the tuck, like this is one of my heat
rocks. Nah, that was definitely in.
Was it like that
for about 3-4 years?
Was it like that with Suicidal Thoughts too?
No, that wasn't tucked.
Really?
I was coming out on the shows with that and rhyming over that, but the message was tucked. It was just a feel with that, like. This feels, and I would just drive around and listen to it going, damn, man, I got to make the right song to this.
Right.
So I remember getting Crystal Johnson, you know.
She did stuff with Mobb Deep. Background vocals.
I remember she came in and she was singing the part, listen, listen, listen. Oh, listen. So she did that, and I was like, okay, well, what else you going to add to it? No, it's good like that. And I'm like, nah, you gotta do something else. So she couldn't come up with something else, and I immediately called Rel. Yo, Rel, you think you could add to this? And then that's when he sung the part, if you don't know why I live my life the way that I do. So now the hook is perfect now. But I'm still sitting on it because I want to, I ain't think what I did to it was the appropriate song.
So this was all put together. It was already pre-put together.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
so Dre just put his verses in.
Yeah, I was in a studio, and Mailman always was like, yo, play that Chinese joint. I think Dre stepped out, and he was in the office somewhere. Play that Chinese joint.
That's hot.
So he played the Chinese joint. Everybody in the fucking studio is mesmerized, like, what the fuck is this? So the door opened, and I guess Dre heard some shit, and he told Mel, like, come here, what's that shit you playing? Oh, that's his joint, the Chinese joint.
So he actually picked the record for you?
Yeah, he was like, you think he'll sell it? You know?
That's crazy.
So, yeah, that's how that made the Chronic.
Wow. Was there a part of you that didn't want to sell it?
Nah, I thought this was historical.
Right.
You know, one of the greatest producers ever.
That's a flex.
It's almost like it almost seemed like it was destined because you were saving it for so long, and then, and it was like the right time, right?
But that's a flex though. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, I did a beat for Dre.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that was the ultimate. First of all, it's gonna do more on your shit than it's gonna do on mine. I told him that. Like, yo, I would love for you to use it.
And then it was so personal, so that gave it a whole nother thing.
Yeah, so I was ecstatic. I was like, yo, I got to join on the Crying 2001, you know?
Yeah.
And what Mailman always brings up to me is crazy how you got
closing
the
record.
last songs on two
classic
iconic albums.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, I didn't even look at it that way.
Yeah, you had to.
That is crazy. You got the last songs on 2 classic fucking albums
man.
from 2 like iconic, legendary artists.
And they're very memorable.
Yeah.
Very memorable.
So, being able to discover L and help him along and working with Dre and working with Big, like, I'm like, yo, I got a nice, solid chapter in the game.
Amazing. Yeah.
But not only that, it's still going. I don't believe in stopping. I love music. Music just flows with me. Every day I listen to music. It's some type of new music, or I love music like that. So
when you were doing The Awakening, did you ever feel overwhelmed with the responsibilities you had, where you had to like produce and then rap and do all of these things, or you just loved the whole process?
I love the process of me being able to produce for me in a way that I want to be heard. Like, not because Neil, shout out to Neil Levine. He was the president of Penalty. So Neil signed me. It wasn't like, yo, the A&R said, we'll sign Finesse. No, he knew my lawyer, Ward White, and Ward White told Neil that, Finesse is unsigned. Yo, I want to sign him. So when he brought me in, he told me, I just want you to do what you do. I'm not going to tell you to do radio records or nothing. Just do your records.
So what year was that? Because I'm wondering how long it took you to make
90,
The Awakening.
I would think 95.
95.
96, yeah.
I think 95.
Actual Facts was on that, right?
Yeah,
That was 95.
that was like one of the last songs.
That was like 95.
Once again, that was Just West.
Actual Facts video was
Just
crazy.
West and Mike Lowe. Yeah, The Awakening was just me being able to sit down and produce the ultimate project I wanted to do. And I wanted it to be very melodic. That was the key to it. And at the time, it wasn't meshing with what the game was doing. So it was kind of one of those projects that was overlooked. And now people
think
be
so?
like, yeah, I think so. During that time,
It was a little shinier.
yeah, so I think it was overlooked. And now people's like, oh, that album was a classic, it's great. And it's like, look, man, I hope if I work on something new, it don't take y'all 15, 20 years to tell me this is hot, because when you're doing something, you're doing it from your heart.
Yeah.
You're doing it from your heart. You're not doing it for radio. You're not, radio plays a part. You want something that can get played on radio, but it should be naturally getting played on radio, not because you can tell when somebody do a certain record, he going for radio with that.
Yeah, but
doesn't mean it's going to go to radio.
Isn't it like a compliment? Isn't it like a compliment to be ahead of the time, though, sometimes? Because, you know what I mean? You could be ahead of what's going on, and people not get it. And then 10 years later, they be like, Eureka, like, I got it now. Like, this nigga was dope.
But that's when you have to have the ultimate belief in what you're doing. Because if somebody don't like it, but you truly believe in it, I think that's what's wrong with music. That right there is what's wrong with music. Because in our era, you put a portrait down, it could be blank portrait, and you give somebody some paint, and they make this perfect, vivid portrait. You give people today a blank portrait, they got to look around and see what everybody else is painting. Yo, I want to paint something like that. No, what can you paint? What's your signature? What's your style? That's why music isn't evolving, because everybody's trying to do the same thing.
And there's also like, I feel like there's too many references for like these new artists, whereas you guys really didn't have that many references.
I always say this, right? In our era when we was growing up, in any contest, competition, you might have had first or second place. Maybe third place. But if you ain't placed in those 3 spots, you was a fucking loser. That was it. You had to go back to the drawing board. You had to work harder because you wanted to be up there with the top.
Right.
You wanted to make your way to the top. Now, it's a sensitive it's a sensitive game now. I mean,
Participation
even
prize.
with kids, they have contests now. There is no losers. Everybody gets a trophy. No. What's going to push people to be 1, 2, or 3
Right.
if they know I could come in last place and I'm still going to get a trophy? That's what this music reminds me of. Because it's no real pride and hunger and that competition to create something totally different. It's more like, you know, you too can be a producer. Get this drum kit, get this library, get this, and we're going to give you these sounds because these are today's sounds. No. What made producers incredible is we went in record stores and we listened to a stack of records. We might have pulled 3 records out the stack. And we said, damn, I found some shit. I'm going to take this home. I'm going to do this. But the gratification you got when you did it and it exploded the way you thought in your mind it would, that was the gift. That was the jewel.
Right.
The jewel, the blessing is in the struggle. If you don't struggle, you really can't be blessed because you can't really understand the magnitude of when you make it because it's no struggle to get there. But when you struggle, when you came from the bottom up, you know, all you got to do is think about how fucked up times was, and that's the hustle in you.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to go back to that. But we're in a whole different time and a different place.
Was the Awakening your one of your proudest projects? Putting that together?
Yeah. Until recently, Motown State of Mind might have
It was crazy.
kind of eclipsed that because it was just so much fun, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot doing Motown State of Mind. It's a scary challenge because you're scared, you're anxious, but you know it's a challenge. You don't want to fuck up the originals.
For sure.
You don't want to be the dude that he fucked that. He should have left that alone. You don't want to be that. So you carefully putting it together. I'm calling all my different friends to help me in certain ways, especially Tall Black Guy. Salute my brother Tall Black Guy, Dinky, my brother Bo. They made it where when we started working on it, I ain't feel no pressure no more. And it was fun. And when it came out, it was like, wow.
It came out at the right time too.
Yeah,
it was
during
like
the pandemic.
It was during the pandemic, and it was like everyone was streaming, and then it was like all these classic songs reimagined.
Yeah,
It was like, and everyone was playing it in their
I
Twitch
want you,
streams
brother.
and
I want
everything.
you.
Yeah,
Man,
it was amazing. Can you tell us how how that project came to be? Came to
it was
fruition?
my boy Dre. He used to run Wax Poetics. I was playing LA Boombox. And you know, anybody knows they come to me DJing, whatever spot that I'm DJing, I'm going to play an edit or two, especially something I did that I think is unique.
Yeah, about that. You kind of was early on the whole STEM tip and the whole studio session stuff. You was playing like originals and instrumentals. Like I remember he was on Bobito and he played the instrumental to Let's Get It On. It was like, well, how did he get the instrumental to that shit?
Oh, I chopped that up. I chopped that on the 1200. That was different.
Nuts.
Wow.
Nuts.
Well, when it come to the whole STEM game, you know, I learned a lot from Kenny Dope.
Oh, okay.
Man. Shout out to Kenny Dope.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Kenny Dope. Definitely.
My brother right there. So he taught me. It was another brother.
How did you wait? How did you link up with Kenny Dope?
Man, me and Kenny Dope used to run into each other digging. I always thought I thought Kenny was the coolest, you know, because he's so laid back, he's chill.
Yeah.
And then we in a record store, he go, yo, let's go get some lunch. And then we sit there and have lunch and we chop it up. We did that so many times where he just became like, you know, he became a brother to me. So, yeah, so Kenny Dope was the one that used to have masters, and Kenny was early in the game. So when people say masters now, you know, yeah, I hear you got your hands on a few masters, but when you were there with people from the beginning, it it was Kenny, and it was another brother by the name of Sean. His name ain't coming to me, but Sean put me on to masters. Sean, Kenny, you know, and to this day, it's some other brothers that's deep with the masters. But it was just being able to pull up a session and listen.
To listen to all the tracks individually.
Yes. That's such a incredible feeling to go, damn, man.
Look at all the stuff they put into this.
Right.
You can see the harmonies. You can see the instruments.
And the stuff they didn't use. And the stuff they didn't really put in the mix.
Right. That's where I Want You sounds so dope, is because I'm using a guitar part that you ain't hearing original when it first come on.
Right.
But once again, I gotta thank KC. That's MC Light's producer. Iconic KC. I gotta thank Kenny Dope, and I gotta thank Jack.
You said King of Chill, but it's
King of Chill. Yeah, King of Chill. Yes, I always say KC.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I gotta thank King of Chill. I gotta thank Kenny Dope, and I gotta thank Jazzy Jeff. Right, because I learned how to use Ableton 3 ways. So Kenny taught me one way, King of Chill taught me another way, and Jeff taught me a whole nother way.
Wow.
So when it was time to do Motown State of Mind, I knew exactly how to lock an entire live session up totally on beat. So once you lock it, now you can move the parts you want perfectly. I'm going to move this, and that's so important for I Want You, Motown State of Mind, right? Because Marvin harmonies are doing one thing, and his voice is just drifting through the harmony. So it's on beat and off beat, but it's a total vibe. So if you try to grab the harmonies and put those on beat, and then grab his vocal, you'll be there forever. So being able to lock up the session using the drums is always the slave. So once I lock the drums, everything in the session follow the drums. So now I could lift the harmony and move it anywhere I want because I know it's perfectly on.
And even with like those records, of course they were live, so they was going with feel too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's a flow. You know what I mean? But that mix right there, because I play that all the time. I play that, and people come up to me like different age groups.
Right.
I know your Spotify is crazy because they're like, I want that song. Where is that? Where is this? So I know that the age demographic has definitely opened up for you as far as with your production and people knowing who you are.
My whole career has been complicated because people want to pigeonhole you to one thing. They don't allow you to open up and use all your skill sets. And that's what's been the problem. It's like people don't know I DJ. Okay, I DJ. I'm for real. I've been doing this shit since the late 80s. But no, you should be rapping. Maybe I don't want to rap. You know, then, you know, your production thing. You know, people, it's funny, right? And this is, I did underboss edits, right? That's what I started doing my edits. They was called underboss. And I did it because I've always felt that when people know you personally do something, they don't want to give you the credit. Yeah, what you did was okay. It was all right. But my thing is, let me put these ill edits under an alias, and I want to see what your reaction is now.
Wow.
Then all of a sudden it's like, yo, this underboss dude, this dude is bananas. And I'm looking like, if I played that, you wouldn't act like that. But since you think it's
somebody else,
it's a new thing.
Right.
I like this new dude. And then when they find out it's you, then they surprised like, oh shit, you did that?
And he left a little breadcrumbs about the underboss stuff. He said it in rhymes and stuff like that. So I kinda
Fat Joe gave me that title.
Yeah, kind of always kind of got
that.
But that's bananas. Bananas.
My favorite one off of Motown State of Mind was I think it's the Bars joint.
Okay.
I like it because oh man. You gotta understand, when I did that album, I knew I had something because I played that shit in the ground. So about time that shit came out, I was tired. So I couldn't enjoy it how you would be like, yo, this is crazy. It's like, I'm tired already. I heard it a million times because I was studying it. And I was like into the feel of the record. Oh, this feels incredible. So I would play it. And the funny thing is I was teaching production in Russia and mixing that album at the same time. And I had these little IK multimedia, the iLouds, and that's what I used to mix. When the mixers was coming in, that's what I would use to reference, because it was a flat pair of speakers, sound incredible, but they was flat, so I could feel the bass. They was, you know how you get those speakers that push the bass back?
Yeah, you don't want that.
I hate that. These joints hold the bass, so when they was sending me the mixes, I could tell you if the bass was right. So, and I got a chance to work with my brother Dink on that. And I think the craziest shit is when Natasha Diggs had DeBarge, you know, El DeBarge, sing my version of I Like It at her Soul in the Horn. Yeah. Everybody was singing, sending me the videos like, yo, he's doing your version. And to me,
that's a big compliment.
That was like, wow, I'm sitting there in awe, because it's like, DeBarge is like, come on, DeBarge is DeBarge. You know, so for him to sing, because that was always my thought. What did he think about it? Because I kind of retouched your joint. I want to hear from the person, what you think about it? So to see him singing and he rocking it, and it was dope. It was dope.
I remember when it came out, I was like, how the fuck did he get the rights and the permission to do all this shit and put this together?
What's the chance of part two?
That was Andre.
What's the chance of part two?
They don't want to do part two. I wanted to do part two.
There's so many other Motown joints that they can let you, rock.
I'm already like maybe 4 or 5 deep from the stuff they didn't use, which I did a DeBarge version of I Like It. That's dope. Temptations, Mother Nature. Michael Jackson, Never Can Say Goodbye. And Ain't No Sunshine, Michael Jackson version of Ain't No Sunshine. So it's 4 that didn't make the project that I wanted to kind of them to do a deluxe version on iTunes with the extra 4. So if you brought the vinyl, you go, I got to get the other 4. So I still got 4, and I got a couple of other ideas that's real.
What's the apprehension not to release a deluxe or a part 2?
Because it's different when a label doing it, and it's different when you have to kick in the money. It's not even the money. It's like
you want the support too.
You have to pay to get them digitized.
Right.
You gotta pay to have them remixed in studio time. Then, if you do the 745 box set again, that's a whole nother price.
Right.
It becomes to the point where you might as well just be doing it for free, because you're not gonna really make anything. So that's why I'm like, damn. But I came up with an idea recently how I think I can do something. I can do something, and I think people gonna like it. And nobody ain't hear the instrumentals, and I was like, yo, why y'all ain't put the instrumentals on the, because people would love the instrumentals. But they did call me back, right? They called me back, and a lot of people don't know. It's a version of Barry White, Never Never Gonna Give You Up. It's a Bossman remix. Where I remixed Barry White. That shit is some other shit.
I know that session you could just pull so much stuff from it.
Yeah, no. All we kept was the drum. And we played everything around the drums. And if you never heard Never Never Gonna Give You Up from back in the days, you would think this is the original.
Sheesh.
Because it has a modern feel to it. You'd just be like, why Barry never released this? But it was dope. So they
almost like a freestyle, right? When it's more focused on the drums and he's just singing over it.
When you have a great team of musicians, and it's something else I learned from Jeff, right? He was telling me about when they were when they hired Quincy Jones to do Off the Wall and Thriller, right? Quincy could have just produced it all himself, but he went and got the best of the best for that project and brought it all in. He still produced it, but he used the help of some geniuses, and that's why those albums, he just manned the whole situation.
Directed more than a producer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But he still produced it.
Yeah, he still produced
right?
it. Yeah.
So I never looked at it like that either. Because in our era, we felt like you had to be Superman, a dude with the cape doing everything, But when I learned, I used to walk in sessions and go, where are all these people? Oh, he play this, he do this, so you ain't doing it by yourself? I thought you would, So I ain't feel bad no more reaching out to my friends to do it all together, because you can go much further.
Right.
They hear certain things you don't hear. Another thing I learned is finding complementary pockets for frequencies. I didn't know that before. We used to always be in the studio, turn the drums up. Nah, you lost the guitar. Yo, turn the bass up. It became a competition with all the instruments and tracks. But then once you find complementary pockets for the frequency where they complement each other versus fighting with each other, the mixes become that much more crazier. So now when I look at that and I look at hip hop and R&B and how people cut corners and they don't put that love in, that's what challenged me to say, okay, I want to do a few projects. I got some ideas, because I know it's gonna sound phenomenal. The SB 1200 project I just did part 2 sounds crazy.
So we got some new Lord Finesse or no?
No, we got a lot of new Lord. I could play y'all some stuff off of camera, and y'all be like,
yes.
Like, yo, no, I've been working, and I want to work with. My goal is always to inspire my colleagues and my brothers to not let people put an expiration on your gift. Because there's too many times people tell you, "Oh, you too old. It's our turn now." Fuck you mean your turn now? Like, I compare that to playing 21 as a kid. You had 10 people on the court playing 21 on the basketball court. You had to work to be the person to score 21. It's the same thing with being a producer. I ain't gonna say, and once you won 21 a couple of times, then the other kids on the court say, yo, shorty, come play with us. But it was tough, because when you hit around 16, 17, the pressure came. Nah, motherfucker, you ain't scoring 21. It's the same thing with music. People it's this branding shit where they using their music and their gift as a stepping stone for the brand. Because they think the brand is so great. And you shitting on your gift. Your gift is to be able to do music that's going to get played 10, 20 years from now. That's the blessing. But like I said, I don't like when artists are scared to put out music, because they older now. Just do your shit that you like to do. Nobody's telling you to throw no skinny shit on and do no young shit. Just do your shit.
Anybody
and you will be
work
respected.
With? Anybody you want to work with, like a bucket list type of thing?
Man.
I would love to work with them at this point.
I want to work with Ray Parker Jr. Because I met him. I know Ray. I've met Ray so many times. Come to the house in L.A. and he's like, yo, Ness, man, what's up?
And you know how early he started? He started really young.
Oh, yes. I learned so much from Ray.
Man, yeah.
He played on Marvin Gaye, I Want You. He played on Bill Withers' Lovely Day.
Besides his own stuff with radio.
Yeah, like this dude
he played with a lot of people.
When he was sitting there telling me his story, I was like, shit. told me the Ghostbuster story. He told me the Mr. Telephone Man story. I didn't know he produced Mr. Telephone Man.
Mm-hmm. And you know, New Edition wasn't the first person with that song.
Nah. He said he was going to keep it, but it didn't match what he was doing. But if you listen to When a Woman Needs Love versus Mr. Telephone Man, they're not too far off.
He gave it that song to a guy named Junior Tucker, and the guy put it out, and it didn't do well, whatever. He recut it with New Edition, and New Edition blew up.
Yeah. So when you hear these stories from these great, incredible artists, like I want to just get a chance to work with, like I said, Ray, maybe Patrice Rushen. Like I'm a fan. Stevie, definitely Stevie. Who else? Like I could name you a ton of artists, and it won't really be new artists. It'll probably be more classic, because it's the word we say, artists, right? Artists are the people, they're the visionaries. Like rappers, sometimes you got to tell them how to rap. You got to tell them they can't do this, you can't do that. Like a rapper is different from an artist, because an artist sometimes points out the things that you might not hear. An artist you could have a track that you really go, this shit is all right.
But they say something else.
They'll get it and they'll transform it, and you go, damn, I ain't hear it like that. Mm-hmm. That's an artist. Like nowadays, these artists is like, you got to give them the music, you got to give them the hook. You might have to have somebody reference the harmony so they know how to sing the harmony. I wouldn't call that an artist. If somebody got to do all that so you can be big.
Yeah.
So I'm big into working with artists because they're the ones that'll take the chance and they'll make something that will stand the test of time.
How long have you been like kind of refocusing your energy to like DJing as well, outside of the production?
I've always DJed, like even before the pandemic, I was touring Japan, I was touring Europe, I was DJing even when you had to fucking bring the records with you.
Yeah.
You know, the 3 rolling bags. Like, I was DJing then. And then what it was, I didn't have a set in the house. And at one point, I got a set built in the house, right? Did a nice piece for me where I could sit.
So you were DJing gigs like in the 90s and 2000s. Yeah.
Yes. And it wasn't just because it wasn't.
Shit, he was hosting a lot of the DJ battles.
I was doing that too.
But that's why I don't see why people don't know that he DJ'd.
Yeah, I mean, Rob Swift was just here, and you were like, I didn't even know you was in a DJ battle.
Yeah, I wanted to do all the aspects of hip hop, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the pandemic refocused me, right? Because you in the house, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing to do. You're away from the world. You know, you're looking at your phone. You're looking like, maybe, what if I go live right now for the fuck of it? Let me set this shit up and go live. And, you know, and that was like some people first time knowing like, yo, what are you going to do? And then they looking like, oh, shit, I ain't know he was like that.
Yeah. Because
they don't take a lot of artists, MCs, serious, because they think, oh, your career ain't going well, so now you want to DJ. That's how they look at it. When some people
just been DJing.
Like Grandmaster Caz is DJing early in his career. You know, but when you start to do it, like I said, that's the pigeonhole. Oh, you're taking up somebody's slot, or you know, you should rap. It's like, no, I can DJ. I know I can DJ.
And he's fast.
Yeah, he's
super fast.
I mean, he was Finesse. You was nasty with your streams during the pandemic, and then I was like, where is he? And you was at like Russell Peters' crib. Just streaming.
Yeah, like, man, I'm telling you, the pandemic, I went and got me a bottle of vodka. Like, I'm going to pour me a drink. I'm going to have me, like, 2 drinks. And, shit, once I get nice with the drinks, I'm going to go play what the fuck I want to play. It's really, because I think that's the that's the equalizer, right? You know, I'm not advocating nobody should drink, but it's the equalizer. Sometimes you get this big gig you got to do, and your mind is just racing. What should I play first? How should I open it up? Should I? And you have a couple of drinks. You know, it's like that angel pop up on your shoulder. Do what the fuck you want to do. What the fuck you talking about? You know, and that's what liquor does for me.
Right.
It's like I just play what I want to play. I'm gonna have fun. Because that's what I think. Once again, I think DJ is missing that. People are scared to show the people what they like. Mm. It's more like, I gotta play radio. I gotta play this the hottest record. But what's your signature of the night?
Yeah. That
you could take them into your zone where they go, wow, I ain't never hear this one. This is interesting. This is because I just think we're letting the world use DJs like a fucking jukebox.
Did the pandemic make you fall back in love with music?
Yes, definitely. Because I had a chance to really just sit there and listen to music, and that's where brunch came from. Brunch came from the pandemic, and I've been, like 5 years now, almost 5 years on Twitch. I get to play yacht rock. Shit, I was playing bossa nova this weekend. Like, I have fun because I know it's layers to what I like.
Yeah.
And the challenge is not to do the same set the next week or the next week or the next week or the next week. You can play some of the same songs, but don't play the exact same set. And I think when you're doing that and you're creating all these new folders to go along with your shit, it expands your range. Because now when you're doing the club, you can watch a DJ play all whatever you want to play, but I know I'm going to take them here, and then I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go in this crate, and I'm going to go there. I don't feel threatened no matter what you play. And I think when you DJ and you constantly get more knowledge of music, and you go back to shit, and that's what, God bless, man, so many DJs, man. But I remember me and Boogie Blind, right? We would sit in the house, and I got all my records up, and we would just sit there and talk about songs that's dope that people don't play no more. Like, yeah, niggas don't even play this no more. I'm gonna play that. And to me, Boogie Blind is slept on. He's a slept on animal.
He's incredible.
Right.
And he's one of the biggest lovers of music, and he's a fucking amazing producer. Like, he has a bunch of samples and beats and production that people don't know. But we would always
joke about being risk takers. Risk takers is people that's gonna play what they feel versus what they're being demanded to play.
Right.
And I've learned a lot from him, being able to just look in my crates and play stuff that really resonate with what I want to play. If it shit don't exist, I'll jump in Ableton, I'll make that shit exist. And to do that, so therefore when you come and you play something and people are coming to see you, they know you're gonna do something that nobody else is doing.
Yeah.
And I definitely learned that from Blind. I learned a lot from starting from scratch.
Oh yeah, great DJ.
I learned from Lonnie B.
Lonnie B. Shout to Lonnie B.
And Scratch Bastard.
Scratch Bastard. It's funny. Like I put you as a DJ. I put you up there with all the greats. As a rapper, I put you up there with the greats. In production, I put you up with the greats. But it's like with DJing, it's like almost in three different fields.
Yeah, Renaissance man.
Renaissance man, but it's like you're really up there with all the great DJs. I think there's a video on YouTube with you, Scratch Bastard, and Jazzy Jeff juggling.
Cutting.
And I was like, yo,
that was my
crazy.
birthday.
Yeah,
that was my birthday Twitch.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, I mean, but I learned from Jeff.
Yeah.
How can I forget that? Jeff is just technically one of the cleanest,
most consistent.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He just, and I've learned a lot of different things from different people. Like I said, the individuals I mentioned. But I learned in a party, it's about keeping the vibe, and it's knowing when to cut.
Right.
I'm saying, tastefully. It's knowing when to cut. Versus that you could tell when a DJ comes in, he has a certain ego about him. Because immediately he got to show people, bang, 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 they fuck up the whole vibe. Because I want to show y'all I'm nice. But nice ain't always just doing all that. It's just slowly getting into your mode. And then you have time to do that. Or then you can, but most of all is keeping the vibe. And as me and Blind say all the time, transitions matter. You can't talk yourself into every transition.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take it here now. No, find a way to guide people there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so much that I learned just sitting there, not just me DJing on Twitch, but watching other DJs.
When did you link up with Jazzy Jeff?
Oh man, I met Jeff through Kenny Dope. Through Kenny Dope, yes. I remember, people don't even know, I had a birthday party in SOBs, and Jazzy Jeff opened up.
Wow. It was kind of like one of those situations when you go to the playlist retreat, you'll see Finesse, Kenny, Clark, Jazzy, all of them kind of sitting at the table.
Right,
it was
right.
like it was so surreal because it's like, yo, damn, you got the mutants away.
Yeah. But I met Stro Elliott there. I met Tall Black Guy. Tall Black Guy is one of my best friends. Like, I call him and we chop it up all the time. And I met like Otis McDonald. I met Marquise Murray. These are people that I love their music. I love what they do. So to meet them and tell them I'm a fan, you might go, no, you love, no, I'm a fan of your work. I think that means a lot because everybody works on music in a certain way, but it's nothing to tell somebody you love their shit. It's just like people are too cool. I don't want to tell him I like your shit because he might think. And no, it's that's your not being secure with who you are.
Right.
Like, and I could walk around. I'm very grounded, and I just believe you never know who's gonna be next. If you treat people with respect, or you provide a certain vibe or energy when your people want you to win just like you want them to win.
Yeah.
And I just think I learned things where you can introduce, like you can meet somebody. And I learned this being around Russell
Peters.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you a lesson I learned being around Russell Peters. You get some people that would come see Russ, I'm in the crib, right? And they just look at you and go, yeah, what up? Where Russell at? Wouldn't really introduce themselves or, just kind of like look at you like, who are you?
Right.
And then, Russ would be like, yo, so you met Finesse. What Finesse? Lord Finesse. Where he at?
Wow.
That was the dude that opened the door. Then they come back. Oh, my bad, I ain't noticed you. But if you treat people with respect, you never have to double back.
Right.
And that's what I learned.
Well,
treat everybody
how did they
with
not
respect.
recognize you, though?
Because it's like, first of all, I think before social media, nobody knew what to put the face to the name. They know the name, but they never put the face to the name. So you still got some people that don't put the face to the name. And then I cut my braids. It's just different now. So, yeah, but like I said, if you show people respect, you never have to double back.
That's true.
What kind of relationship do you have with Russell Peters? That like you literally stayed during the whole pandemic for like I don't know how many months. You would just post it up. Years. Because he's a DJ.
Yes.
He's a real he's a fan of DJs.
Yes.
Rest in peace to Spin Bad.
Rest in peace to Spin Bad, definitely.
He had Spin Bad DJ his shows. I don't know. You probably
him and Start from
Scratch, right?
Yeah.
And I was have you DJ'd his show?
One. I did. Because people thought, yo, so you gonna start like, nah. I would have to really get comfortable to do something like that. And
wait, what do you mean?
it's different because I don't know. It's just like when something comes naturally to you, you know, but when you go to another level and you start getting these anxieties and you start overthinking and you can't really be you because you overthinking
in your head.
You overthinking in your head, and that's what it was like when it was time for me to DJ. I DJ'd and I did good, but I was just overthinking. What they listening to? I was just too much in my own head. Where, I think that happens when you trying to be so perfect. That's it. Mm-hmm. You trying to make sure this set is the most incredible set, and one little thing don't go your way. Then you go into disarray. Oh shit! What should I do now? And that's what I felt.
I can't believe you only did one. I would have thought you would be amazing with crowd work, just dropping joints, playing with the crowd.
Nah, I think that takes a certain amount of time. I don't think you're just gonna get that the first time. I think if I do it a couple of times, I'll get comfortable.
No, you don't know MC and
but
stuff,
this
though.
was like
I would have never thought you'd say this.
Yeah, that's crazy you said that because
you've been on stages.
My girl was just saying the same thing, and she said, "I'm gonna get on you about that."
Yeah,
she says you DJ, but you will not talk on the mic when you DJ. Now you'll go up on stage and perform your ass off, but won't touch the mic while you DJ. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think it's maybe sensory overload?
This is like ambidextrous.
It's a lot going on. It's just the same reason why people say, why you don't play your records? I feel weird playing my own records. It's just something about it that I'm working to get through. Let's say that, because she was like, yo, you better start talking on the mic more, because this don't make no fucking sense.
Right.
You this great you got the voice. The fuck.
But it's almost like DJing is so personal to you, and your like relationship with DJing and the process is so personal. It's almost like you haven't put it in a showcase or public level where you have to like showcase your DJs, right?
Yes, that is an interesting point.
And then you're seeing like, well, I'm on stage, but I've never been on stage as a DJ, as a rapper, and you're separating the two.
Right.
When you're a natural showman.
Exactly. And you taught me something with that.
You hit it on the head.
Right.
Huh?
You hit it on the head, because I never looked at it like, because he hosted stuff and MC'd stuff.
But hosting, that was a Christy move. Christy Z, salute. She was like, I want you to host the DMC. And this goes back to before they shut down Irving Plaza, because they did it at Irving Plaza, then something broke out, and then they stopped doing events at Irving Plaza. But she got me that one time to host, and that's where
most people with public speaking, they have more anxiety doing that.
But it's just like he said, he's like, it's so personal, right? Like production, rapping, putting it out there. With his DJing, it's so personal, and you're putting it out there. Once it becomes on a like reading a crowd or rocking a crowd level, now you're like, oh, is my personal taste off with the crowd?
Yeah.
And you're questioning that, and it's hard to coordinate that and be a showman at the same time.
Yeah, and it's like you're being extra technical because you want to be super clean.
Right.
So how does that work with the Twitch though? How does that work with the Twitch?
It's different with Twitch.
Yeah, different with Twitch. Actually, it's fun with Twitch because I'm so used to certain individuals. They cracking jokes in Twitch.
Yeah.
It feels more natural.
Oh, okay. But it's more like they're a fly on the wall watching you.
Right.
Okay.
They're like, he's the experience, and they're kind of watching him, and they're taking a ride, and he's leading it.
Right.
But when you're doing a live show, it's almost like the crowd is in control, and you have to find a good medium.
You have to find where, unless I do LA Boombox. I love LA Boombox. I love the Motown Mondays. Like certain things like that, I'm in rare form. That's my thing, because I know I get to do whatever I want to do.
Okay.
But in today's world, it's just like people want to dictate the party. Like they don't come to really.
Nah, Finesse, you're such a. Come on. If you get on the mic and you start just doing some of these like old school or legendary hooks from your albums, but just doing them on like some Fat Man Scoop.
That, I was about to say, God bless Fat Man Scoop told me that one time I was coming from Australia, and he was one of those dudes was like, "Yo, Ness, do you DJ at your shows?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do a routine with R.O.A.D or Blonde," and he's like, "No, you need to either when you finish your show, tell a promoter you want to DJ the end of your show for about an hour." And this is what Fat Man Scoop told me eons ago.
Wow.
And I never really looked at it that way until the pandemic. When the pandemic shut down and your mind was just clear because phone ain't ringing like that, you can't go outside. And that's when I looked at the turntables and said, I want to have fun. And the response was so crazy on IG, and I'm looking at everybody who's tuned in. That kind of like, say, yeah, you need to do this more.
Right. It's funny because you were saying like, well, you know, when I DJ, people were like, you should rap or you should do production. And I feel like the complete opposite. When we saw you really DJing, it was like, why were you keeping this from us? It was like, why did you have this tucked in and you didn't let us know about this and you didn't showcase it before? We felt like, holy shit, there's this whole other side of Lord Finesse.
I think it's being like, to be able to do all three, you get pulled in so many directions.
Yeah. I think that's...
Because I try to be great at all three.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing two, something's gonna suffer. Like I haven't rapped in eons because I'm producing and DJing. So rapping is suffering. Now, I think if I wanted to rap, my mindset is getting my mindset back and rapping. I can't. It's hard to do all three at the same time. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it for 2025.
I think you got it.
But
you sell yourself short.
I think you got hit up like J Live with skills. Because I think you're like this far away from juggling a beat and just rhyming on it. Like,
yeah, no, I've done that before.
So I feel like you will come up with some amazing crowd work, chants, bringing up old lyrics, stopping it, going a cappella, then dropping something from the top. Like with that voice,
I'm gonna try it. Yeah. I'm gonna try it.
It'd be amazing.
You know, I'm gonna try, but I'm having a lot of fun with music.
Right.
I'm having such a time because I know that I'm on the brink of about to do some other shit because I know you got the talent to do it. You still up to par to do it. So I get excited, especially when you work on something and it comes out super dope.
Yeah.
And it was just so easy. Damn, I gotta work on this now. I did an intro for Russell Peters for his comedy show. Yeah. People ain't hear that. I'm gonna play all the shit.
Please, can you send it to us so we can play a little bit of it?
Yeah.
You know, on the episode.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
but when it's just like he was like, "Yo, Ness, I need you to do an intro for me," and I was like, "Oh shit!" And I always ask anybody, even artists, like, what direction you want me to go in, because I go in a lot of direction. Said I wanted orchestral. You know, I said I wanted something like Victory.
Really?
Biggie.
Wow.
I was like, wow, that's okay. So I pull out all my soundtracks. I'm just plucking through, and I come across this one soundtrack, and I got my partner there. He plays. So when I play it for you, you don't know what's a sample and what's played. That's how intricate it is, but it's big. And when that shit come on, that shit, you know, people like, God damn. So the crazy shit was I sent Russell the intro that we came up. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And so I sent it to him. And I ain't hear back from him. Maybe a day. He was on his way to India somewhere. So I ain't hear from him. So I'm sitting there with my partner. This shit must be whack. I mean, we might as well get ready to go work on something else because I ain't hear from this dude. And then he lands and he texts me, "Oh, this shit is dope." Like, oh, okay. I want you to spit something on it. I'm like, oh man, you want that too? So I
scratch the chorus. It scratched the chorus.
Yeah, I had Blind do the cuts and I did the rapping and shit is dope.
Oh, we gotta hear this.
It was dope to the point like, oh, when I do this new hip hop shit, I'm gonna kill these people. It's over. Music,
do you still put yourself in that underground type of thing? Like, I'm from the underground?
Nah, it ain't like I put myself in any field, right? People automatically put me from underground because I've always been underground.
Right.
But I believe in underground because it's a certain genius in underground where you take the rawest stuff and you make the most incredible stuff. You know, being from the culture and being able to listen to the records. It's just a certain whole extravagant feel when you got to get it from the crates, when you got to go to the record stores. You really putting this shit together like a fucking meal, all the ingredients. Mm-hmm. So
it's like a badge of honor.
Right. Mm-hmm. So now when I listen to music now, shit sound like it's under a comforter. You don't hear all the music. It's just so and it's like nah, it's like that's the frequency when people can hear certain instruments or certain chords, that's what hit home. But if you got that shit all muffled, you can't, if you don't have the EQing on certain dynamics, so when I'm listening to like from Motown State of Mind to the Russell Peters intro to all the new stuff I've been doing sonically is what's making me excited.
But you can't, how could he be underground? He was right about now.
The
Funk Soul Brother. He was on the most crossover record ever.
For real.
Yeah. We don't have time to even talk about that.
Hey, it's just one of those things, bro. It's just one of those things.
Might have to be a part 2 sometime later.
Will you come back?
Certainly.
We got to talk about that. He had Christopher Walken dancing to shit.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. The King of New York, bro.
The underboss and the King of New York.
Yeah.
Yo,
thank you, man.
Definitely.
We really appreciate you coming through, man. For real.
Anytime.
Finesse, definitely want to have you back, and hopefully by that time we'll have a part 2 of Motown State of Mind. Maybe some other projects coming out.
Yeah.
But
definite.
Lord Finesse, thank you so much for coming through. DITC.
Definitely appreciate it.
If you want to watch more episodes from R.O.A.D Podcast, click either links on the left or the right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and get updated on new uploads throughout the week. Peace.